Here's a segment from a recent Gun Talk radio episode. You can listen to all the Gun Talk radio podcasts however you tune in, or check out guntalk.com for more. Oh, it's so much fun to talk about all this stuff. And yes, I know the politics it's maddening sometimes. And you're thinking, why can't people see this? We have this incredible track record of people using guns for self-defense 4,000 times, a day, 4,000 times a day, maybe 8,000 times a day. People in the U.S. use guns successfully in self-defense. That's by, PhD Dr. Bill English, his studies, by the CDC, by any number of other studies. Kind of get the same numbers all the time. Anywhere between 1 and 3 million times a year, Americans use guns in self-defense. Well, one of the guns they use, even though a lot of people think they're old, they're antiquated, they don't actually amount to anything anymore, and they'd be wrong, are revolvers. Joining me right now is fellow revolver aficionado, Jason Cloesner from Lipsey, the firearms distributor down in Louisiana. Jason, welcome.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
You bet. You are a revolver nutcase like me.
I've been accused of that, yes.
In all different types. I mean, double action, single action, big ones, little ones. And you guys Lipsey's, at your direction, because you've been in charge of all these these special runs that you do, you have put out a lot of different, very interesting revolvers through the years, working with different manufacturers.
Oh, yeah, that's been a real big part of our business. The revolver market has been kind of underappreciated by the industry, but it still has a really strong following. And what we've been able to do is successfully identify a few of those little niches that really have serious hardcore end users, and then give them a factory option instead of having to go the custom route.
There you go. Okay, so I said we were going to talk about the best revolvers, but there's really no such thing. So I guess what we're really talking about is Jason's picks of the ones you like these days and the ones that, are available that you can actually buy. So if you said, okay, let me tell you about a few revolvers you ought to look at, what would you be talking about?
Yeah, well, it's funny, Tom, when you told me gave me this assignment, I was like, oh, this is easy, no brainer. Then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, gosh, dog, trying to limit this down to under 10 is pretty tough, because there really is a lot of great options out there right now. But I will start with who really is iconic in the revolver world, but has recently had a huge comeback, and that's Colt with the Python and the Anaconda series. Those guns have been fantastic, and they've been Colt's been pumping out the 3-inch, the 4, and the 6-inch Pythons at 357. They also have a 6 and the 8-inch Anaconda, and they just introduced the 4-inch Anaconda as well. It's starting to come out. So those guns have really done well. They did a fantastic job of keeping the lines and the mystique of the old Snake series Colt guns, but able to price now that most people can afford.
Well, and actually, and I would just offer, it makes people crazy when I say this, they're better than they were before. As good as the old Pythons were, the internals on this are better, and the materials are better, and they will outlast the old Pythons like by 5x.
I would agree with that. These guns, if you're a person that wants to go out there and actually shoot 357 Magnums out of a mid-size double-action revolver, the Python's a great place to start. And I tell you, it's those guns have really, really, I think, surprised a lot of people. I think a lot of people thought, okay, this is just going to be one of these things. It'll be a quick run, and the collectors will snap them up, but no serious end users can use them. I see more guys who are really hardcore revolver defensive use guys carrying Pythons now, and doing really good work with them. So
there you go. You know how much I love the 3-inch double actions anyway. All right, so moving on, Colt Pythons and Anacondas, I agree with. What's next?
Yep. Okay, so as this has always been my answer to if you had to have one revolver to take you through the apocalypse, what's that just bomb-proof gun? And I had to give it to the Ruger GP100. The Ruger GP100 has been out for a while, but I'll tell you, when it comes to just absolute brutal strength, reliability, durability, and now options, there's a lot of options as far as caliber choices. You've got 357 Magnum. They did some 44 specials. 327 Federal. They even make a 22 long rifle version. Lots of different barrel lengths, finishes, adjustable sights, fixed sights. A lot of options with the GP100. But one thing is consistent across that line is that they're just brutally strong and reliable.
You know, one of the things that's really cool is you're going through the calibers. I'm thinking, you know, the thing to do, you get your 357 and you get your 22 rimfire. You shoot the rimfire about 100 times more often than the other, and now
Absolutely.
you become a really good shot, and you're not spending a lot of money.
Absolutely. And you know, those guns, they just double action. I think, in my opinion, the double action firing sequence is probably the most appreciable skill in the shooting world. If you don't shoot double action for a while, it takes a little while to get back up to speed on it. So having a good rimfire understudy of your centerfire gun is almost a no-brainer in the revolver world.
Oh gosh, rimfire understudy. Consider that one stolen, partner.
There you go. You can take it.
All right.
All right. So number 3, and this is kind of on the same ilk, and especially because of the understudy part of it, it's the iconic Smith & Wesson J frame. I mean, if there's probably the most popular, especially in the defensive world, revolver in the U.S., it's the typical 2-inch Smith & Wesson 38 special 5-shot revolver. And it's many iterations: hammers, bob hammer, Centennial model, bodyguard. The good thing is Smith & Wesson has added a lot of understudy calibers to it now. Now you have 22 long rifle versions. They're in the same airweight configurations, 22 magnums. We're seeing a huge trend right now in people going to some of these rimfires, even for carry. You probably noticed that Federal and Winchester added defensive 22 rimfire ammunition to the market.
Yes.
Well, it's probably not ideal, but for some people, it is the only option, and so that's better than no option. You know
how I know that the Smith & Wesson J frame is a strong choice for a lot of people is that I don't know a single professional firearms trainer, defensive trainer, or law enforcement officer who doesn't own one.
Exactly. Right. I think it was Walt Rauch that coined the term. People talk 45, shot 9mm, and carry J-frame 38. And that's not a more truer statement than what it is. But inevitably, even in the most formal situations, if you're around a bunch of gun guys, I can promise you 90% of them will have a J-frame on them somewhere. So that's almost a must in the battery of defensive guns, whether you're a revolver guy or an auto guy.
I agree. All right.
Next. So, Taurus has really been an upcomer the last couple of years. They've really gotten their act together. They got some new management up there. Brett Voorhees has really turned the ship around over there, and they're putting out some really great guns. The Executive Series guns have been really, really nice and have done really well. But I had to give this next spot to the Toro series. So Taurus came out with the 605 and the 856 Toro, which is the Taurus optics ready option. So now you can mount a miniature red dot on a carry gun, on the carry revolver, which is pretty innovative. I mean, obviously the red dot revolution is here. You can't hardly find a semi-automatic without it. And now Taurus gives you an option to use one on a gun that's actually carryable for defensive purposes. And let's face it, a lot of these guys who are carrying these guns are maybe a little bit up in age, and having that dot is definitely an advantage.
And it really helps with the accuracy, the practical accuracy on a short barrel revolver. Absolutely.
And I tell you another benefit, too, about being a dot on a revolver is usually these dots, where they start to run into issues, is that slide battering back and forth. When it's stationary on a rigid frame, you don't see a lot of issues, even on some of the large bore stuff. I've got a couple of more inexpensive red dots just really for an experiment on some of my heavy kicking double action. I got a Super Red Hawk in 480 Ruger, which is pretty stout. And I've got a little Burris fast fire that's been on that thing for a long time, and it's held up just fine with a lot of rounds through it. And I think just having that solid, rigid mounting interface really helps the durability of the little miniature red dot.
Amazing. Hey, Jason, going to get you. Hold on a second. We'll pick up the rest of your list in just a second. We're talking with Jason Cloesner from Lipsey's. Check it out, Lipsey's, Lipseys, Lipseys.com. See some of the things that they've been doing over there. Take a look at their firearms finder and the list they have there. Pretty cool stuff. Well, I guess I got to talk again. I'm over here on the Lipsey's website looking at guns again, so that's kind of where I spend some of my time. We're talking with Jason Cloesner from Lipsey's. They are the huge firearms distributor. That's where your gun store usually gets its guns from. It's from a distributor out there called the two-step distribution system. And I invited Jason to come on and talk about revolvers because I don't think they get enough love, Jason. And you and I were always geeking out about this one or that one. I found a Bearcat, not a Bearcat. I'm sorry, a Blackhawk, a Ruger Blackhawk, and 41 mag at the gun store about a year or so ago. And I'm having fun with that one. It's like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's another thing, right?
It is. And what a perfect segue into my next choice.
Okay.
The Ruger Blackhawk.
Oh, really? Oh, but I did not know that, but there you go.
Not by design. But that was it, yes. I mean, iconic is, when it comes to single action, when it comes to gateway drug to the handgun hunting world, the Ruger Blackhawk is it. I mean, it's affordable. They're rugged. They're brutally strong. Available in all kind of cartridges. The custom guys can do a million different things to them. I'm partial to the Bisley guns personally. I think they handle the recoil a little bit better, especially on the heavy kickers. But those guns are just—they're really tough to beat. You can get that Ruger Single 6 as an understudy to that gun, and put out a ton of rimfire rounds for every centerfire that you shoot, and have the same angle of arms, the same sight picture, same trigger break. That's just a must-have. If you want just a classic Americana single-action revolver, to me, the Ruger Blackhawk just fits so many roles so well. And it still has a lot of good modern applications with the Hunter models. You can mount an optic on it. A lot of choices there. Tough to beat.
You bet. And just besides that, you know what? They just look cool.
Oh, I'm sorry there, Tom. I lost you there.
They look really cool. They're a great looking revolver.
They are. They're really a great canvas for the custom stuff. Whether you want to send one off and get it case hardened, there's a lot of different grip options out there. If you want to go with stag, or heck, you can even get mammoth ivory now. Guys are making that, all kind of exotic woods. It's just it's a great gun to do a lot of things. I've got a lot of mine or have custom sights on them, and just all kind of little work that you can tweak on them. But really, out of the box, they run just great.
And Michelle just pointed out something I hadn't thought of. It says it's a great option for elderly or people who can't, for instance, run a double-action revolver or can't work the slide on a semi-auto. But with single-action, you cock the hammer and pull the trigger, and it's a very simple process.
It's a very simple process. I mean, the single-action revolver in itself is probably the most simplistic of all the repeating handguns out there. There's really not a lot of parts to it, and not a lot of things that can go wrong with them. I think again, if we're talking about that, if you're out in the cabin in the woods, which you are now, you live out in the cabin out.
Yes, I am.
Not remotely, but you can really make a strong argument for a 4 5/8 inch stainless Blackhawk as just being an unbeatable package there. I know we sell a lot of them up to our customers in Alaska, so that tells you right there that the guys who are using them out in the bush, you really appreciate them.
All right, so what's next on your list?
Okay, so I'm kind of on the same venue, but and Ruger just released their new Ruger Super Wrangler, which is their kind of inexpensive version of the Single 6. So it's they came out with the Wrangler a few years ago, which was a fixed sight 22 long rifle only single action revolver. The Super Wrangler now has adjustable sights and also comes with a 22 Magnum cylinder. So, and it really for not a lot more money, that little gun is a great revolver. I took one of the jury test guns when they sent those out to people before production and shot one quite a bit. And I shot them next to my Single 6s. And honestly, the gun shot just as good, if not better, than some of my older Single 6s.
Wow.
And for the money, it's a great way to get somebody, maybe a new shooter, into a revolver very inexpensively. And they're a ton of fun. My three boys, they love shooting them. There's a lot of different colors, Cerakote colors are out there, so you can kind of customize it as well. But, you have the Magnum cylinder, so if you want to go out there and varmint hunt or something like that, I know we took one time out to prairie dog fields and did some pretty good work with them with the 22 Magnum cylinder. So pretty cool little package. Okay.
I know we hit 7. I didn't know if you had anything else on your list because I had one I was going to add on to it. Go ahead, though.
Well, the only other thing I had, and these are what I would call I had 3 guns that are kind of the aspirational. They're a little harder to get, But when you want to say best of the best, you have to talk about the Freedom Arms guns. When it comes to the just top-of-the-line single actions, the 83 and the Model 97 are just iconic. When it comes to double action,
Go ahead.
From Germany, and then also you have Beretta is bringing in some of the Manhurin MR73s, which are actually French-made revolvers, but are absolutely stunning guns. They were made for the French GIG Hen, kind of like their special operations over there,
right.
And they use those guns even up until today. But they are absolutely brutally strong and very elegant guns. Super slick actions on them. If you get a chance to check one out, don't hesitate. They're really, really cool.
And Jason, you dropped out when you were given the name of that. What was it?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Manhurin MR73.
Okay. All right. So Michelle and I have a bone to pick with you. Okay. Because you didn't mention one of our favorites. It's the Smith 686 Plus, a 7-shot 357.
You're right. And honestly, it's funny. If you asked me, you could only pick one handgun for the rest of your life, I would take my Smith & Wesson 686 Plus mountain gun that I have. It's got a 4-inch tapered gun, 7-shot cylinder, super lightweight, and absolutely a dream to shoot. It's my absolute number one if I could only have one. But yeah, Smith & Wesson L and K frame guns. I mean, yes, you're right. They definitely are on everybody's list. It's funny. We are seeing such a resurgence and interest in the K and L frame size guns for carry now. Mm-hmm. It's strange. Now guys are wanting to talk about auto pistols for the field and talking about revolvers for carrying on the street. It used to be just the complete opposite. So
that is backwards. Yeah, it is. That's weird.
We sell more 10 millimeters now for guys who want to carry them in the backcountry, and we sell more 686s for guys who want to carry 357s on the street. So,
wow.
You can't ever figure this thing out.
Well, a lot of new stuff going on. I know you got a lot of things going on your website, lipseys.com, and of course you've got your gun finder, and you're always bringing out these limited editions or the specials that you guys do. So people, and the problem is you don't know about it unless you actually look for them. So you got to go to the website and find out about them.
Yeah, that's the best place. And also, hit like on our Facebook page and our Instagram. Obviously, we put everything on there, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do video reviews on anything that's new like that, and we have a podcast. So subscribe to all that stuff. I tell you what, we had a little kind of a dearth of projects during the COVID years because there was just no time for manufacturers to do them. But now we've got a lot of things cooking, and I tell you, come this fall, we're going to be talking about revolvers again, and there's going to be some stuff that we got coming that you're going to be super excited about.
Ooh, neat. Of course, we probably a lot of people know that you and I actually worked together to create that GT25, our last gun talk pistol with Ruger, that 10-millimeter Commander, which has worked out so well.
So well. Actually, I have it on my hip as we're speaking right now. So,
son of a gun! Look at that. Jason, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I appreciate working with you. It's always fun to talk about guns.
Yes, sir.
You take care, Jason from Lipsey's. We appreciate that.